Now let's see some of the machine learning algorithms with the help of simple examples. Let's take the first example. Here the task is to predict the price of a house given its size. So in my locality, I have to predict the price of the house given its size in the square feet. For example, I have this data for 1,000 square feet small house, the value is 10 lakhs. For a 5,000 square feet big or large house, the price is 200 lakhs. Then what is the price for a middle space size house like 2,500 square feet? So that is our problem. We have a small house, we have a large house, and its price is already given. What is the size of this middle sized house? So what is the best guess for the price of a house with 2,500 square feet? We will collect all the data, price against square feet, and we plot it in the x-axis in price and in the y-axis area in square feet. Then we say that 1,000 square feet is some at having some price, 5,000 square feet is having some price. So these red points are the data we have collected, and using this data we'll draw a line like this. Now this is our model. Using this line we'll be able to clearly say what is the size of what is the price for a 2,500 square feet house. 2,500 square feet house is 100 lakhs. So that is how that is the best guess for price of a 2,500 square feet house using this data is this is the training process. So you have training data like this: a 500 square feet house is 10 lakhs, a 1,000 square feet house is 25 lakhs, a 2,000 square feet house is 80 lakhs, a 5,000 square feet house is 200 lakhs, and so on. So with this data we can build this model. This is a linear model. This method is known as linear regression. So using this model you will be able to predict the price for a 2,500 square feet house is 100 lakhs. A 3,500 square feet is 140 lakhs, and so on. So this sort of output can be obtained by this model. This method is known as linear regression. Linear regression always outputs some value instead of. So this is a regression problem. Okay, so that was linear regression. Now, how to get the best regression line? So, we have told that we collected this data, and using this data, we have drawn this line. Let's, what is the best fitting line on this data? So, that is what you would like to identify. For that, let's take a simple example. Let's say we have only these three data points, 1, 2, and 3. What we'll do is we'll write a line. We'll draw a line, a random line, and we'll start off with a random line, and we'll calculate the error associated with this line, the distance between this line and this is my prediction, and this is the actual point. This is my prediction and this is my actual point. This is my prediction and this is my actual data point. So the error is this plus this value plus this. So the error is some value. Let's say the error is 20 plus 15 plus 30. So this is the error. Now we'll alter or we'll change this line in some way. Let's say we have changed this line to a little bit right below, that is somewhat below. So we have moved this way. If I moved this way, this is the error plus error plus error. So the error has increased. Meaning is that we have moved the line in the wrong direction. We have moved the line in the clockwise direction. So in the clockwise direction, if you are moving, then the error is increased. Means that you are moving the line in the opposite direction or the wrong direction. Now let's say you have moved the line in the anti-clockwise direction. So here you can see that the error is reduced. This error is smaller here. Again, the error is small and the error is small. So you got the idea, that is you have to move the line in the opposite direction. Means that in this direction. So at any point you change the direction or change the direction and sorry, change the line and check your error. You try to minimize the error and you get some line which is having the minimum error. So let's say this is your line having the minimum error. So this is how we get the best regression line. We'll start off with some line and we'll calculate the error associated with that line, and we'll move the line a little bit and we'll check the error again, and we'll understand the direction in which the line has to be moved so that the error is reduced. So we would like to minimize the error. That is the procedure we do. This method is called the gradient descent method. So at any point we will calculate the error and we would like to minimize the error. So this method is known as the gradient descent method. We use least square method here because we don't want any negative distances. For example, this distance is negative and this distance is positive. So in order to avoid negative distances, we will take the square of the distances. We call it least square method. This is an illustration of a gradient descent method. You are on top of a hill and you would like to descend from this hill. So this is your goal. So at the top of the mountain, higher on the top of the mountain, higher the error is. So that is the idea behind gradient descent. So you are trying to descend from the mountain. So when you are on the top of the mountain, then the error is high. For example, you have moved this side, so you are at this position means error is high. So you understood that you should go in the other direction. So you reach here, the error is reduced. So understood that you are moving in this correct direction. You move little bit more further, again the error is reduced. You move little bit further, again the error is reduced. So at any point you calculate the error and you descend from there. So when you are here, you move little bit. Let's say you have moved little bit more and you reach here. Again the error is high. So means that you have to go back. You have to go in the opposite direction. So from here you go little bit in the opposite direction. So ultimately you will reach a place where the error is minimum, and that may be your goal. So a gradient descent method is can be illustrated like this. So that was linear regression and gradient descent method. So previously our data was in our data we were able to fit a line. Let's look at this data. For this data also we can try to fit a line, but your line the fitting a line on this sort of a data is maybe going to give you more error because the data is not clearly fitting onto a line. At this point of time, you can try to fit a polynomial, you can try to fit a circle, you can try to fit a parabola, etc. So in this case, this polynomial fits better. So that is called, instead of linear model, that is called polynomial model. So linear regression and polynomial regression. The idea is same here. This is a 2-degree polynomial. This is a 1-degree polynomial. That's it. So instead of y equal to b0 plus b1x, that is the equation of a line. If you are able to use this sort of b0 plus b1 x1 plus b2 x1 square, then that's model is called a polynomial model. Okay, so now let's look at some of the classification models, classification examples. Let's say we are having on the task of classifying your email into a spam or non-spam. So you would like to build a machine learning model for automatically classifying your emails to spam or ham or non-spam model. So new email, a classifier, machine learning classifier, it will do a binary classification. It will say this is a spam, this is not spam. Let's say we have some previous data. We have some 100 emails with us, and we have the following split. This is supervised machine learning, so you should have labels associated with it. So out of these 100 emails, you say 25 are spam emails and 75 are non-spam emails. So your email is like this. You have email content, then it's data. Sorry, it's label spam. Email content and then non-spam. So email content 3, non-spam, etc. That sort of a data is available. By analyzing your data, your training data, you understood that some of the features are making this emails to spam or non-spam. Let's say by analyzing it, we have understood that an email containing the word discount, 20 out of 25 spam emails contain this word discount, and 5 out of 75 emails contain this word discount. So there are 25 emails which are spam and 75 emails which are non-spam. Out of the 25 emails, spam emails, 20 emails contains the word discount, and out of 75, only 5 have contained the word discount. What is the percentage that an email containing the word discount can be spam now? There are total of 25 mails which contains discount. Out of that, 20 are in the spam category. So 20 divided by 25 is 80%. So if an email contains the word discount, the probability that the mail is spam is 80%. So if an email contains the word discount, then the probability that mail is spam is 80%. In the same way, we can find out. So mail containing the word discount is 80%. You can find different features like this, and using these features altogether. For example, if an email containing email is having spelling mistake, then there is a chance that the probability that the mail is spam is 70%. If an email is missing its title, then the mail is spam is 90%. So from your training data, if you are able to identify these sort of features, and if you group all these things together to guess whether a new email is spam or not, this method is known as naive Bayes algorithm. So using this probability or conditional probability, we say whether a new object can be placed in one class or the other class is known as naive Bayes algorithm. So this is a classification algorithm classifying an email into spam or not spam. Let's take another example. Let's say you are writing in a software for recommending apps uh, in any of the Play Store. For example, you open Google Play Store or Apple Play Store, you will get lot of apps recommendations, right? So you are trying to write a program for app recommendation. You have this previous data with these three columns: a female, a gender column, then age, and which app this particular person download. Only this category, these three columns are available. Okay. So from this, you would like to learn a model and you would like to recommend apps for a new person. So, for example, a female of age 15 downloaded is PUBG, then a female 25 downloaded WhatsApp, male 32 downloaded Snapchat, and that sort of data is available. Now let's look at this and we have only two columns and this is your target column. This which column should be better can be used for better used for categorizing it. So let's say whether gender is can be used. So female, downloaded WhatsApp and PUBG. Male also downloaded Snapchat and PUBG. So you will not get a better categorization. What about age? Age means 15, 25. So we can see that all the people whose age is less than 20, they have downloaded PUBG. So age will be can be used for better categorization. So between age and gender, age will be a better decisive feature. So age less than 20, this is downloaded. Age greater than 20, then you use the second column there, second feature, that is gender. If gender is male, then Snapchat. If gender is female, then WhatsApp, and so so such a tree structure can be obtained. This method is known as decision tree method. So the best decisive feature will be kept at the root node. Then based on that, you will go for decisions, and this decision can lead to a tree structure, and this is called your decision tree method. So for a new person here, you keep it on the root of the tree. For example, a female with age 25, then you kept it here, age equal to 25, greater than 20, then gender female, so it will come here. So you recommend WhatsApp. So this sort of a tree can be used for recommending apps for new a new person. So this is your data. From your data, you have developed such a tree structure. That is called a decision tree algorithm. Let's try to discuss another classification problem. Let's say this is your example. You are at an admission office where you do admission based on two things. One is you have conducted a test, and the second is you are having you will get grades or marks from the previous previous semester or previous degree course. So you are trying to admit a student based on the previous degree course marks and the current entrance test mark. So for student 1, entrance test is 9 out of 10 and grades from the previous degree course is 8 bar 10. So student is accepted or student is admitted. Student 2 test score is 3 and grade is 4, then student is rejected. So this is the previous data you have. Now student 3 test is 7 and grades is 6. The question is whether the student is accepted or rejected. That is now this can be done with the help of by plotting this data in a graph. At one side we plot the grades and the other side we plot the test score. Now we can see that the student, all the students on the this part is getting admitted and this part is getting rejected. So if you plot this data like this and if you are able to split the data by using a cut like this, then whatever data above this line can be accepted and whatever data below this line can be rejected. So for example, our student 3 with the test score is 7, and grades is 6. So it will be somewhere here, the student will be accepted. So you can go for decisions by using this. This method is known as logistic regression. So logistic regression is a classification problem. It's not a regression problem. So logistic regression can be used the very similar fashion as that of regression problem. You have data like this, you have a line like this, regression line sort of line like this, and you have a cut like this. But the in the next step, it is how it is done is whatever data above this or whatever data on top of this will be one category, and below this will be the second category. So it's a classification problem. So this method is known as logistic regression. Now let's think about how to find the best line that cuts data into two. Oh, just like the case of linear regression. So you can draw a line like this, you can draw a line like this, etc. That's how we do is we start with a random line, and sorry. So in order to find the best line that cuts data into two, we'll start with a random line. Then we'll try to find errors. Errors are measured as the number of misclassified data points instead of errors like in the case of linear regression. So let's say we had only some three data points, then the errors can be obtained as the number of misclassified data points. Then the errors, if you change the line a little bit, then the errors again you calculate, and you will get errors again, and you will go in the direction where the errors are minimum, or you will always try to minimize the error. So instead of the number of misclassified data points, we'll always use the log loss function. Log loss function in the sense for correctly classified function values you will get minimum value, and for misclassified data points you will get the log loss function as maximum. So that is what the log loss function is. Now let's look at a specific place where you have some data point like this. You have a student 4 whose test score is 9, and somewhere here, and this student's test score is 9 and grades is 1. Some edge students or some students at the edge of this. Whether the student is accepted or rejected. Based on this model, based on this cut, it will be on top of this line. It will be on top of this line here as well. But this student should not be accepted. Why? Because he's having very less grades. There should be some. It should be some minimum, isn't it? So the this sort of a classification problem is can cannot handle this. So in order to do it in a better way, we will we can always have some other model. So from this model, you can say that this data point will be accepted, but you can go for some other model, something like a parabola like this. Or a simple method is by using multiple lines. Instead of a single line, multiple lines. For example, instead of this line, you use a line like this and a line like this, and whatever data here only will be accepted. So this data also will be the data points here and the data points here. All the data points below the first line and the second line will be rejected. So this idea is called a neural network. So a neural network is working like this. You have some input value, then the input value will be fed to layers. So this first line will be identified from this layer, and the second line will be identified from this layer, and you combine these two to get the output. So whatever data on top of this intersection, whatever data on top of this, so this intersection only will be accepted. So that sort of a method is called a neural network. So you can improve the solution obtained through logistic regression by using neural network. Now let's look at a different problem where, let's say we have this 6 data points, and this 6 data points, we would like to divide this 6 data points into two. These are the positive class and these are the negative class. So you can have a cut like this, you can have another cut like this, you can have another cut like this. Now the question is, which one of this cut is better? The blue one, the orange one, or the brown one? Blue and orange line are close to data points. Blue is close to this data point, orange is close to this data point and this data point. The brown one is nicely splitting the data, so that is the better line, isn't it? So there is enough distance from the data points here and the distance from the data points. So this is splitting the data point nicely, so that a new data point comes, it will be correctly classified. In this case, if for example, if you take this blue line, then if a new data point comes somewhere here, then it will be classified as negative in case of blue line, whereas it will be classified as positive in case of brown line and orange line. So the best option is this brown line, isn't it? So how to find this best line? So for finding this best line, you can always forget about this data point, that is the data points which are very far from the cut. So these data points can be avoided, and instead of descent algorithm, we use linear optimization here. Instead of recursive descent algorithm, we use linear optimization. Here we would like to maximize the distance from the boundary. This is your boundary. So instead of this, we want a brown line. So we want to maximize the distance from the boundary. So this is how we do it. We start off with a line and check the distance, then again we'll alter and so on. So we use linear optimization, and the distance from the boundary is maximized to the nearby data point, and this method is called support vector machine, and the nearby data points are actually called support vectors. So this is another classification method, a classic classification method, which is usually giving best accuracy in case of predictions, which uses linear optimization, and this method is support vector machine. Support vector machine cuts the data into two parts by using enough separation from the nearby data points. Okay. Next is something known as a kernel tree. In case of support vector machines, if you have some data, something like this, if you have some data point like this and you are not able to cut the data into two parts by using a line. So previously here we had we could cut this data into two parts by using a line. Here we cannot do it. This is your input space. So we use something known as a kernel trick, where we project your data into some higher dimensional space, and then we will try to split the data by using a hyperplane, or instead of a line we'll try to this was in 2 dimension, and we translated it into three dimension. So that can be split by using a plane like this. We call it, in case of support vector machine, we call it a hyperplane. In case of higher dimension planes, so that method is called a kernel trick. For example, let's say you have some four data points in two dimension, 3 0 2 1 1 2 and 0 3. You can see that if you plot this in a x and y axis, then using x and y axis, then you can see that this all these uh, data points lie on a line. Then you cannot split by using a single line. But if you map this into a higher dimension, some of the data points will be above a plane and some of the data points will be below a line. For example, if you use this as x1, y1, x2, y2, x3, y3 and x4, y4, then you use a third dimension which is xy, so it will be x1, y1, x1 by 1. Z1 will be x1, x1, y1, Z2 will be x2, y2 and so on. So this will be 3 into 0, 3, 0, 0. This will be 2, 1, 2. This one will be 1, 2, 2. This will be 0, 3, 0. So the third dimension is 0, means all the data points is below. The third dimension is 0 here, all the data point is also below. So you can split the data point, two data points, 3 0 and 0 3 in one location, and 2 1 and 1 2 will be in the other location. So you can split by using a plane. So that is how we can do. So you can apply support vector machine in case of an input space is like this. That is the case of 2 to 3 dimensional mapping. You can do it using higher dimensions as well. So that method is called kernel trick. So that was supervised machine learning. This is an example of unsupervised machine learning, where we have, let's say, this is an example data of, let's say you have a supermarket chain, and the supermarket chain would like to place outlets at three locations. This is a map of some area, and these are the some of the houses, and these are the houses where they usually visit supermarket. So is the supermarket chain has collected some information. These are the houses in this locality. They visit supermarket for buying some item. These are some other houses in the other area. These are some other houses in some. So the what the clustering algorithm will do is, so the clustering algorithm will understand, will or may say that let's start with some location. So let's say this started with one location, second location here, third location here, and then slowly we use k-means algorithm here. Once you use k-means algorithm, slowly the location of this will be coming to the centroid of this cluster, and the location will be coming to this. So this is how the unsupervised learning works. In the case of unsupervised learning, what we do is we'll try to analyze the pattern. These are the this belongs to one cluster, and this belongs to the second cluster, and this belongs to the third cluster, and so on. So that was about an overview of machine learning and some of the machine learning algorithms with the help of simple examples. We have seen linear regression by using house prices prediction, spam email detection by using Naive algorithm, then app recommendation using decision trees, and we have seen logistic regression using admission process using grades and exam marks, and we have tried to improve the same with the help of neural networks. Then we have seen how support vector machine works, then a k-means clustering example as well. Thank you.